Hello, so today we're going to be making bread pudding with caramel sauce and a bunch of other fun, delicious components, so I cannot wait to share it with you. I had such a great time making this dish and plating it all up, and it was just super delicious. Everything I'm making is going to be divided by two, cut in half, or even sometimes cut by four, depending on the amount it makes, because I did not need the full amount in my book, so I'll be cutting most of these components in half. But without further ado, let's just get started with the ingredients for our bread pudding. We have 30 grams of unsalted butter melted, and then we have 360 grams of white bread, a day old. You do want it kind of stale. And then we have 2 cups of heavy cream, 2 cups of milk, 3 eggs. And then we have 390 grams of granulated sugar. And then we have 15 milliliters of vanilla extract. I added my torn bread chunks to a large bowl, and then I poured half of my milk and cream over the top, and then I just set that aside until it was nice and soft. And then in a separate bowl, I beat my eggs and sugar until the mixture was smooth and thick, and then I added the vanilla, the remaining cream and milk, and the melted butter. I then gently tossed the egg mixture with the softened bread to blend, and then I poured it into my 13 by 9 greased baking pan, and then I baked that at 350 degrees Fahrenheit until it was brown and almost set, and that ended up being approximately 45 minutes. Now we're going to be moving on to the ingredients for our delicious caramel sauce. I have also cut this recipe in half, so we're going to begin with 270 grams of granulated sugar, 90 milliliters of water, 7.5 milliliters of lemon juice, 240 milliliters of hot heavy cream, 22.5 grams of unsalted butter cut into pieces, 22.5 milliliters of vanilla extract, then an eighth of a teaspoon of salt. We're going to begin by combining the sugar, water, and lemon juice in a saucepan, and then I'm just going to stir to moisten the sugar completely, and then I'm going to place it on the stove over high heat and bring it to a boil. You may need to brush down the sides of the pan with water to remove any sugar granules, and definitely do so. Do not stir the sugar as this may cause lumping, and we're just going to continue boiling the sugar until it caramelizes and it turns a dark golden brown. We're going to remove the saucepan from the heat and gradually add the hot cream, and we need to be extremely careful because the mixture will bubble up and spatter. Make sure to move the whisk up and down in the mixture to keep it from overflowing, and then whisk that until the caramel dissolves. And then we're going to return that to the heat and bring it back to a full boil, and then we're going to remove from the heat again and immediately whisk in the butter, vanilla, and salt. And then we're just going to strain our mixture and we are good to go. Moving on to the next component of our dish is this delicious streusel topping. Now, in my book, this makes 4 pounds of streusel topping, and I didn't even need one. So I divided all the ingredients by 4 to get 1 pound, and I'll use the extra for something else. But we're just going to begin with 240 grams of all-purpose flour, a half of a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, half a teaspoon of salt, 84 grams of brown sugar, 60 grams of granulated sugar, and 180 grams of cold whole butter. And all you have to do for the streusel is combine your dry ingredients and then cut in your butter until the mixture is coarse and crumbly, and then you are good to go. But I didn't stop there. I actually added just a few pecans to my mixture, and it turned out great because I wanted to make like a pecan streusel. So it was literally just a few pecans. I chopped them up, and then I just added that little bit to the little bit of streusel I was going to need for my plate. And then I just blended that all together. And then I laid that flat out on a cookie sheet lined with parchment paper. And then I just popped that into an oven to bake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for literally only about 5 minutes until it was nice and toasted. And it turned out perfect. And all that was left for me to do was to just plate it up, add the last of my components, and make it look all nice and fancy. And I just think it turned out gorgeous, and it definitely turned out delicious as well. It's probably one of my most favorite presentations I've ever done. Like, I am just so proud of this. So I'm just going to walk you through on how I plated it up. First thing I did was use my caramel sauce to swoop a big S from one end to the other. The end where the bread pudding was going to sit, I pulled a little bit more caramel sauce underneath so it would have a nice ooey gooey sticky bed of caramel sauce to sit upon. And then to shape my bread pudding, I used a circular cookie cutter to make a nice even circle. And then I just placed that in the first top bubble of my S. And in the bottom bubble of my S, I also used a circular cookie cutter to contain the streusel topping. And then that became a bed for my delicious vanilla ice cream. And the scoop of vanilla ice cream is just perfectly round, and I just love the way it just finishes off this whole plate. So pure, so clean looking. And then I just added the rest of my components, which was caramelized pecans and bananas with caramel on them as well. Bananas, pecans, and caramel go so well together. I just had to make this dish that rich theme, and I just love the way it turned out. I created an angled banana shape and I put that down with my ice cream, and then I also made a longer banana shape that was just half of a banana that kind of looked like it was encasing the red pudding. And I just love the way that turned out. And then I just added my pecans coated with caramel where I thought it looked great. So I have one on the opposite corner for my bread pudding and then one down with the ice cream and banana. And I just think it looked so gorgeous. Like it just looks so beautiful, all the rich browns and tans coming out. And then you have the cleanness of the white plate and the ice cream and the taste. It was just like heaven on earth. Like I am telling you, I am also never going back to store-bought caramel after making this caramel. And I am just so excited to practice plating desserts in the future because I am very proud of this. And I'm so excited I got to share it with you.